Feet are what drive him to the mat. Elbow to his armpit, navel to his hip, drive, drive, drive to get him down to the mat. Now as we hit, when I attack his hand, I want to reach over the fatty part of his hand. I'm not grabbing his wrist. Okay? I'm going to reach and grab the fatty part of his hand. Now when I control that top part of his hand, I'm going to put my shoulder into his back, and then I use my feet to drive that wrist all the way through. Notice I'm not sitting on my knees. My toes are in the mat, my weight's on it. One-on-one comes up to his back. I still have pressure on it. When I go to step up on him, I don't take my pressure off and sit up on him, on his legs. I'm going to sit up on him and I cover the wrist that I had the one-on-one with. Okay? The one-on-one, when I grab that fatty part of his hand, okay, I turn it like I'm putting the throttle on a motorcycle. When that wrist comes to his belt line or his butt, I want to put his palm down on his butt and I'm going to sit on that. That should be uncomfortable for him. He should feel that all the way up into his shoulder. Number one. Number two, my knee covers the elbow that I have the one-on-one with. So I've got his wrist trapped. I've got his elbow trapped. Okay, my weight's sitting on him, not down on his legs. Now I'm going to dig my claw. My hand comes under the armpit, goes deep as far as it can to his neck. Now my feet take over. I still have the one-on-one, and I'm still sitting on it. Now my feet drive, 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 and I pinch those knees together. I start to get my count, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. He's going to go crazy and start kicking. I ride him back up on top. Okay? Pressure on that one-on-one. I've got my heel at his knee. Now I reach for his head. My weight is on him right now. He's still flat. Chin control. I'm going to turn his head. Let's spin. Spin this way. So I've got the knee blocked. I got the one-on-one on his butt. Chin. I crown the top of his head. Control his chin. Elbow out over his head. Notice how the side of his face is now on the mat. I'm literally turning his head. Now, I'm going to drag his face on the mat to his knee that I have trapped. Drag, 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 drag. Now, once his head gets to his knee, I've got to finger lock that cradle. One of two things are going to happen. When my fingers touch, I can roll him to his head and get points. Or my fingers touch and I run him over his far foot and get points. So we got two ways to run this cradle. Okay? The one thing, on the last one, I was really emphasizing the wrist control. On this one, it's chin control. Okay? Because if you torque his chin right, it's like a chiropractor move. Once you get his neck turned out, you can just scoop it real easy to his knee. But if I leave all the strength in his neck and I leave his head straight, it's going to be hard because he's got too many muscles in his back to fight it. But if I twist his head and then I drag his face on the mat, I'll get his head to his knee. Okay? Bottom man set, top man on. Spiral ride. My chest runs him to the mat. I reach for my one-on-one. If you can't reach the one-on-one immediately, just come out here and cheat and bring that hand to it. Okay? You guys with short arms, that's the way you get a hold of it. Now I've got the fatty part of his hand under control, shoulder pressure, drive, drive, drive until that wrist comes through. Two hands on one, I push it up onto his back. Lots of pressure in my toes. I scoop the near foot. I keep stretching his wrist across his back as I go find his chin. When I find his chin, I'm going to try and turn his head okay, or put pressure in my elbow to make sure that that head is turned out. Once his head is turned out, now I can drag his face to his knee. And I emphasize dragging his face to his knee. I don't want to lift him up at all. Okay? Bring his head to his knee. Finger lock. If I want to go forward, I got to make sure I come out over his head as opposed to trying to come over his butt. Okay, that's hard. This is much easier. So that's one way to turn them. The other way is I start walking my feet, and I'm going to make him go into a ball as I take his head over his far ankle. To our pinning. Okay? This is going to happen. The guy's going to look into it and try and pressure into us. So, when this happens, we go one-on-one, we bring it to his butt, and we step over that near leg. When he starts to come up, I have to make sure his arms stay straight, and I'm going to start to move his arm away from his body. Okay? I can't, this is illegal. I can't, loosen up. I can't take his arm like that. That's illegal. I can't bend it. But what I can do is make his arm straight like a baseball bat, and I can start to lift it away from his body. So as I get the two-on-one, and now this guy starts to build up into me, knee underneath, I take that arm up. As soon as we can get some separation between his arm and his body, thread the needle. When we thread the needle, I'm now going to attack his head. Now, don't use your arms to try and muscle him over. Okay? Once we thread the needle and we catch his head, use your hip to hip into it. Okay? I'm going to put it up onto his butt, and then I'm going to cover. He has to carry me. I put my weight on him. I look for my claw. Okay? If I got to this position and I can lift that up, I'm going to try and thread that needle so I can get to my winning position. Body position is really, really important, especially on this one-on-one series. Okay? So I wanted to say that. Let's go back out. I want everybody to work on the two-on-one. So you started with the one-on-one. It comes through, and you get that two-on-one. I want to see a good baseball bat grip on that guy's hand, his wrist, his forearm. That's got to be tight. At no point in time should we be grabbing him at his elbow or above his elbow. That's too high up on his arm. He's got too much strength. Get as far down his arm as you can so you have leverage to lift that hand up. Now we can thread the needle, or we can put it on his back and sit on it. Or we can catch that near knee, chiropractor's head, and bring it to you. Okay? Guys ready to try those again? You can turn with whatever you want right now. You can do all three.